Welcome to the Vetiver Vibes podcast. We're your hosts, Nikki, Fraser, and Rachael Dean, certified clinical aromatherapists. We are excited to have you here on today's episode where you know that you'll get the best essential oil scoop.
This episode is brought to you by Essentria, a leading online school for aromatherapy. If you want to learn more about how to become a clinical aromatherapist, check out the courses at www.schoolofessentria.com.
Welcome to this week's episode of Vetiver Vibes. Nikki Fraser here with
Rachael Dean.
We are our 100th episode.
And we're 6 years old. Both things are amazing and all happened this month.
Yes.
So.
And I feel like, if we're 6, we're out of the toddler stage and now we're like real in getting independent and having more personality, which is what I feel like our personality has shifted over the last 6 years.
Definitely. We are more secure in what we're doing. We know how to run a business fully now. When we started, it was all just figuring it out and everything was new and different and, scary.
Yeah.
And I think to me, I know getting past that 5-year hump was super, I felt accomplished, and we went through a lot of changes at the 5-year mark. And so the fact that we are still here, still coming on strong, I love it. We've had a great year to date as well. It feels like we're doing the right stuff. I love it.
Yeah. And I know, I don't remember the stats. I wish I would have looked them up beforehand, but I know there's a lot of businesses don't make it past the 2-year mark. That's one of the big dropping points. And then the 5-year mark is that second big dropping point that, again, a lot of businesses don't make it past that first 5 years. And then I think the next one is 7 years. So if we can make it through to 7, which I have no doubt in my mind that we will, those are some big milestone markers when it comes to business. And like you said, I remember when we first launched, it was scary, it was unknown. And we share this with our students often of when they graduate from our clinical program, this is the real work happens now. Yes, you've spent the last months or years studying, but the real work of applying. And I felt like it was the same thing for us of, even if we've been practicing aromatherapy for years, we're applying new things. We're still learning and growing and trying to support our students more. So it was just always rolling.
Yeah, because when we started this, I already had started my aromatherapy business. I was already a couple of years into that. So I knew how to do my personal business. That was fine, but this just felt like another step higher. It just, I had to work with people. I had worked with, obviously, I've worked in the corporate world and still do and everything, or you're working with people, but I had to be in charge of things and we had to make sure we agreed on things. I couldn't just do what I wanted to do. And so
and we didn't always agree.
And we didn't always agree. And we had to figure out how we were going to resolve that in a way that we always still stayed friends and we were still always respectful of one another and everything. And, I think we've done a really good job of that. We did start with 3, we're only 2 people now, but it was still a very respectful end of that. We was still, it was a good transition and everything was smooth and great.
Yeah.
Life changes, made that change happen, but we're still here and it's great. I love teaching. I love doing this. I love our business. I feel privileged to still be here.
Yeah. And the fact that, like you said, we both had businesses before the school, but it's different when you're brick and mortar type thing in your hometown, right? Like where you live, you only have so far of a reach, right? People coming in for a massage, people coming in for consultations, things like that. They have to be within, a reasonable distance versus now we are worldwide. We have students literally
everywhere.
As long as you have an internet connection, you can be our student if that is through mini courses, clinical courses, level 1, possibly other courses coming soon too. As long as you have internet, you can join Essentria. And we do. We have, I wish I would have looked up the newer stats. But I think we're in like over
At
50
least 50. Yeah, I
countries.
was gonna
Yeah.
say over 50 countries, at least 50 countries. We are definitely, people are finding us every day. Our intro to aromatherapy course, people are signing up for it literally every day. And
Hmm.
then a lot of people use that as a stepping stone to see whether or not we are like the right fit, because there's videos in there and there's like, it's the way that we present the information is all, it's, you can see how it will be presented to you. And then a lot of people are signing up after that. But also we have people who sign up like years later. Like I love
I
seeing that
love
someone took
that.
our intro course years ago and then when they join our like clinical aromatherapy course, I'm always like, when did they first come find us? I always check that out.
Yeah.
And I love, there's lots of times where it's 2 years ago, 3 years ago, which means that they've been on like our email lists and everything and still enjoying learning from us. And that just makes me feel really special that they still have chosen to come to us and follow our journey. And so thank you to
Yeah.
everybody.
Yes,
Thanks
yes.
for letting us be here.
Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our students. Thank you to our Facebook members, anyone who's listening to the podcast. Like, we wouldn't be here without you. So we appreciate you more than you would ever, ever know.
Yeah, very true. And so 6 years, super exciting, and 100 episodes. Like this was Nikki's idea. This was something that she wanted to do. She
This was a
wanted to like,
crash course. Not a crash
well,
course. This was a
yeah,
crash idea, a spontaneous thing
yeah, that
that
you took on. And I was like, do we have time for this? I
no, we
don't
didn't.
know. And we definitely didn't have time for this. And because it was Nikki's baby, like from my perspective of like one of the partners, I was like, if you want to do this, like this is a thing you have to take on. Like I will support it because I do like all the back end stuff.
Yeah.
After it's edited, Nikki does up to editing, and then I do everything else. And I was like, I will take that on. That's fine. But like, you have to like run it and make sure it's happening and all of that. And Nikki, you've been doing such a great job being like the main host of this for the last couple of years. Like we're like 3 years in almost, I think, of
Hmm.
Vetiver Vibes. I feel like in August,
This
I think, is
summer.
our 3 year
Yep.
anniversary. But 100 episodes, like that's a lot. Like, like you've done lots of episodes. We've had tons of guests on. Like we didn't get that stat either, but I'd say like at least 30 guests, if
Hmm.
not maybe 40 probably over that time.
Hmm.
And
Easily.
yeah, for sure. Like, so we're always trying to bring in like lots of great different people for everybody to learn from. And there's been a
And
huge variety. Like that's what I love. Like everything connected to aromatherapy or business, like holistic health, that kind of stuff. We've definitely tried to keep it focused for people in obviously the genre of what we are, living and teaching and everything. But Nikki, you've had some great people on. Who are some of
yeah.
your favorites?
One of my favorites was probably Teresa Tribe because I just love breath work. She was on episode 69 doing the breathing new life, and it was all about transformational breath work, and I absolutely loved it because again, it's something it ties a bit into meditation, but not quite. It was a different type of breath work than meditation,
Yeah.
but it was just like a transformational session that I did with her and talking about it afterwards was absolutely amazing, and I could have probably talked to her for an entire day, just digging through and recalling how it was and just exploring how the breath is really, really powerful for the mind and body. It is absolutely amazing how just simply breathing can change your life. And I mean, we do breathe every day to stay alive, obviously, but how we choose to breathe can have such an impact on our day-to-day life.
For sure. No, I think that was a great episode. I agree. And just sometimes being reminded to breathe is the important part
Hmm.
as well. Like, obviously, the subconscious is making us breathe, but when we like stop and like settle and like sit down and like actually like think about it, I find like that's a way where like you can like breathe right into your toes, it feels like, right? Like in a way that like you're just not doing on the day to day through the rest of your crazy life. But when you sit down and just like do some breathing exercises, I find it very grounding. And do that with a grounding essential oil, perfect.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what
It's
I
like,
loved with our guests is that like you said, we've branched out to so many different holistic modalities and showing
yeah,
how we can incorporate essential oils and aromatherapy into them.
yeah,
Which this one you can very, very easily do. Who would you
Yeah, for
say
sure.
was a guest that you quite enjoyed? Because I know you listen to the
It's
pod. So as
I
I
listen,
do the
yes.
podcast, you listen to them usually on your drive.
I do, yes.
So on your listening part, do you have a
Oh,
favorite
so
guest?
many. I think some of my favorites, I loved the tarot card one,
Mm,
which was season 2, episode 35, with Nikki Ojeda.
yeah.
Maybe if I spelled say that name right. I love that. And it's funny because like I love all the ones where it feels like woo-woo. So
Yeah.
like, and I say that because on my day to day, I I don't go there. Like I don't, but like when I sit down and like just think about like what I actually want to do, like I do. I very much like I connect with all of those and I love a tarot card reading and I love um Reiki and I love all of these things, but I get so like busy in the day to day that I don't like actually sit down to think about what it is. So like I love when you do those podcasts because it makes me think about it and I enjoy it. And I enjoy when we do like the readings and stuff because I feel connected to it in a way that just is like outside of myself in that way. So like generally a lot of them are that. The student ones we've had, I've loved those. When we've had a
Hmm.
couple of students on. Kenneth Wallace was one and Nancy Lombard was another. Loved those ones. I love hearing from our students. I mean, it's one of our favorite things we do regularly. We try to have connection meetings with our students, and I think that those were great. But it's also great for other people to be able to like listen and see and hear. So those episodes, I'll just mention quickly. Episode 18 and episode 40 were those ones. Um, yeah, those are a couple of like my top ones, I think.
Nice, yeah. And I know we actually were looking up the stats for which ones were kind of the most popular ones. And frankincense,
Is
with
by far,
Robin is
yeah,
by far the most popular one. And it is
yeah.
frankincense. You hear about frankincense all the time. So it was
Yeah.
great to have the Queen of Frankincense, which Robin is known
Yes, that
for,
is
on.
episode 16. It's the many types and benefits of frankincense with Robin Kessler, and she's great and
Mhm.
definitely the queen of frankincense. And it's the top on both like the podcast stats and the YouTube stats. So like
Mm,
it's like one in both
which
places,
is nice.
which is kind of fun. And where some of them are like the top 5 on like the podcast stats, and then some are top 10 or top 5 or 10 on the YouTube stats are a little bit different, but
Yeah.
frankincense is, everybody wants to know about frankincense, and I'm sure it comes up a lot like around Christmas time and maybe
Hmm.
some of the, different church holidays and stuff like that when it's
Yeah.
out more. But it's a
I
great
was
episode and Robin's great. So
Yeah, she is. And she's so knowledgeable to go through the different types of frankincense because people don't realize, like, it's not just frankincense. Which frankincense? There's so many different ones, which is what we try to tell people all the time of this is why we need botanical names, just like saying you can't have like just use some eucalyptus. Which eucalyptus? Because there's over 700 species of eucalyptus. So
that's
same
cute.
thing with frankincense, right? You can't just say frankincense when you're looking up, buy frankincense. Well, which one might be most ideal?
Yeah.
Because they each have slightly different properties in them. So it's important to always be safe and know which one you're using as well.
Yes,
I was
exactly.
also surprised that we did a podcast because we both did the Gina Livy method
Still
program
doing it.
about, yeah, I didn't sign up this round, but I'm doing it. I'm still committed. I actually started tracking and I do have her book and all that, and I'm following it myself this round,
Yeah.
trying to get back into just a better mind frame and better health to go into summer. I just find it's
Yeah.
like a great reset. So talking about just our own health and wellness journey of staying active, staying healthy, what we do day to day to stay healthy, I think it was great to see so many people want to hear about our own health journeys.
I know. I don't know if I think I probably promised an update and I don't think I've given one, but I'm down 55 pounds and feeling amazing. So yeah, I feel very strongly that the Gina Libby method is a great tool.
Mm,
Like if you are looking for something to help you work through um the mental side of weight loss. I think that
mhm.
Gina's program really delivers in a way that I've never experienced before. And I've done 25 years of Weight Watchers and that's pretty much the main one I've done outside of Gina Livy. But and I think that that's a good program, and I'm not dissing it at all. But when I moved to the Gina Livy program a couple years ago, I found that her podcast, when she goes through the 92 days or whatever it is, that she brings on like a naturopath that talks through things. She talks about supplements in a way that, and she's not selling supplements, she's just talking about supplements. So it's just like explaining what they are and how they might be able to help. Um, there's a naturopath that came on and talked about like menopause or perimenopause and stuff
Hmm.
like that. Cause obviously a lot of women are struggling with their weight loss. There's sleep experts that come on. There's somebody that just talks to you about like dealing with change and like how to, work through that and your mental health stuff. So like
And a learning
there's
expert too on just like how to learn new habits and
Yes,
things like
exactly, right?
that.
Like, they've had doctors on that talk about like if you're pairing Ozempic with the method or that kind of stuff, or just medications in general and how that can affect. So like I find that her overall program, like it's so much more than just like, hey, track your food and
Yeah.
lose weight. And to me, the not having to count, weigh, or measure is like the best thing, because like now I'm mentally thinking about like how much have I put in my bowl? How much is on my plate? Do I actually need to finish all of this? Like, like in
Hmm.
a way that I've never had before. And all of that is built into like the program too, like on week to week. So yeah, like I'm a huge fan still. I just find that it's a program that I can definitely still stand behind, and I'm looking, still working on it, love it. But feeling I'm in a much better place than I was
Awesome.
before. So, and
Congratulations on losing all that weight. That's awesome.
thank you. Yeah, it's nice not to have to carry it around anymore.
Right?
I still, I like how I feel. Went paddling on the weekend and got to, oh my goodness, we went out and it was our first time back on the water, and we sat, not stand on our paddle boards because the water's a little cold and we were afraid to fall in. But we did like 9.5 kilometer trip, and it was
Wow.
awesome. Like, oh my gosh, like talk about feeling grounded in the water, just it was like the best like afternoon. The weather was nice, it was sunny, the water was calm.
I feel
I
like I
had all
need to
the
go
right.
up one day with you just to try it. I've
Oh,
never gone
you do.
paddleboarding, but
You
I know
have
you
to
go all the
come. Oh
time
my
and love
God, you
it.
have to come. You have to come.
Yeah.
I have an extra paddle board. You're welcome to come. Come down one weekend and join us. And yeah, I like found my thing.
Yeah.
I was never like a big person to do like workouts or to do, like I used to love to hike. I used to love doing things like that. My husband doesn't. So, I just found like I didn't have like that partner to do things with. So I still do some of that when I have time, but this just became the thing where like I disconnect from the world. I love it,
Hmm.
and I said something to my husband last year, and he's like, yeah, of course you love it. He's like, it's literally the only time when you're not connected to work or the phone or whatever, like you just like, and I'm like, yes, that is it. I love it. And I get to hear the birds, and I saw turtles, and we saw like we could see all the buds coming out on the trees, and just
Oh,
like
that's
being in
fun.
nature. Oh, just love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and I often use reading as my disconnect, but since I'm reading so many more ebooks now versus real books, I still see the notification comes in of like when a student emails or different things like that. And sometimes I'll like then go off my book and then it just like disrupts my peaceful escape. And I like and
Yes.
I mean I go for a lot of walks also. Walking is
You
my
do.
and that
Yeah.
is more my
Yeah.
disconnect
Yeah.
when I can just go out, walk through the forest and that type of thing. But you know, I don't do that in the winter. I don't like cold.
Yeah.
So reading, especially in the winter, is my disconnect. And I
Yeah.
find it's harder when I see all those notifications come in all the time. It doesn't keep me in the zone. So that's absolutely when you're just surrounded by nature and
Yeah.
you don't have electronics with you, then it's amazing to have that peaceful time.
Yeah. I do have my phone with me because I like to take a lot of pictures. I take like 5,000 pictures while I'm out on the water, and then I have to like delete a bunch of them because every time I go paddling, if it's every weekend, that's just a lot of photos that I don't
Yeah.
really need, but I love them, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But I
And
don't
that
like, I'm not checking emails, I'm not checking text messages, that
yeah,
kind of thing.
absolutely. Another
Yeah.
really popular podcast was the dowsing one. So again, right, kind of
Yes, I love
going
that
back
one
into the
too.
woo. And,
Yeah.
I really got into dowsing years ago, kind of through our my own aromatherapy studies. I had done a little bit before that, but that is when I did my own aromatherapy studies, when I kind of started to look more into it, and actively learning how to do it properly as well. And
Yeah.
then we had Jane on, who I did do a small learning session with Jane to really dive deeper into it. And then we had Jane on to talk about dowsing. And I
Yeah.
absolutely love, love, love dowsing. My pendulums are actually just out of reach. Otherwise, I would show. I
I
did
bought a
get a metal
pendulum.
one.
I bought one afterwards. After I
Yeah.
listened to it, I bought a beautiful like crystal one, and
A
yeah,
lot of
because yeah,
my
it's a good one.
original ones broke. Usually, any of my crystal ones would always break. I have, I think, three of them. I have a little dish full of crystals, and I put my pendulums in there. And I have three of them where the tips have broken off, and I have been so upset. I do have one crystal one that is still fully intact, functional. It is amazing. But I bought a metal one quite a while ago now, and I absolutely love,
Nice.
love, love. I've been calling him Mr. Pointy lately. I don't know if it's like part of it. I think part of it is so I was a big Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan when I
Me
was,
too.
when it
Me
was
too.
on, and I've been seeing a lot of
Yeah.
Buffy stuff coming up over probably the last years and so. And lately, because it's Pointy, I don't know, I've been calling him Mr. Pointy lately.
Yeah.
So I've renamed him to
Yeah.
that.
I missed
Um,
Buffy when it first came out, but when Clara was a baby, I like binge watched all the seasons
nice.
on DVD, because it was before streamers,
Yes.
and I had to. There was a guy at work who had them all, and so like I would like bring in the baby to visit at work, and then I would like transfer, like we would
Trade
exchange to
off.
like the trade off, but I felt like it was doing a drug deal every week as I bring in another one and be like, I need my fix. Like, please give me my next season. Yeah, it was
Nice.
fun, but
Yeah, it was one of my favorite shows.
memories.
Yeah. But yeah, I absolutely love dowsing. I use it often. I use it during Reiki sessions. I use it for myself. I've used it with clients in aromatherapy sessions.
Yeah.
So happy to see, that was again one of in our top five podcasts. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that was a good one too, for sure. So,
yeah,
I mean, ultimately, I think we have a lot of fabulous podcasts we've
yeah.
done over the last 100 episodes, and I think that people should definitely go back and check out some of the past episodes. We will definitely link some of these ones we've talked about in the show notes, so feel free to
Hmm.
check that out so you can find them like right away. And then yeah, it's just I think that it's pretty cool that we've done this. I feel like like I said at the earlier, like it was doing the podcast was like not on my list of things to do as far as like adding more to um, my weekly extra things that we do for Essentria. But it's something I think that's great. I love it. I think it's great that we have people on. I love meeting other people in our industry. Like I love giving people a vehicle for being seen and heard and
Hmm.
everything, like I think we could easily have more people on. So like, if you're listening and you're somebody that's interested in joining us, like please just
Yes,
go to our
please reach
website and
out.
please reach out, fill out the form, like we definitely reach out to people regularly, but if you're listening and interested, just message us. Like we probably would love to have you on and find an hour to chat with Nikki for a bit. She does the interviews. That's definitely her. You guys get me when I feel
I
like I can
love
get
being
out of
able
my
to connect to
comfort zone and talk
people.
to Nikki like through this way.
Yeah, I love being able to connect to people worldwide. So it does not matter where you are in the world. Please reach out. Always happy to talk to you about whatever your modality is, relaying it back to aromatherapy. We've also had quite a few questions come in. I mean, as a school, we do get a lot of different questions that come in. We
Yes.
decided to do a little FAQ segment for this. So we grabbed our top three questions that we have received quite a few times and we thought we would just answer them real quick on the podcast. And so the first one is, do I actually need to put a carrier oil when using essential oils in the bath?
Yes.
Yes. A
Yes,
resounding
you do.
yes. And I have actually been lazy and didn't want to go downstairs and get my carrier oil because I usually have a bottle always in the bathroom for when I do take a bath because I take a lot of baths and I typically add essential oils and Epsom salts and make a whole little blend. And the one time a couple times I was being lazy and I didn't want to walk downstairs to get my carrier oil. And within maybe 2 minutes of getting into the bath, like my skin started to tingle and burn. And they were all very, very gentle oils. They
'Cause
weren't
oil and water do
oils.
not mix.
No, and Epsom salt is not enough to emulsify them because
Yeah.
that is often the debate out there is the Epsom salt enough? Things like that. No, it is not. Please, please, please dilute your essential oils even when in the bath.
Yes. So speaking of that, another question we have is why do we need to dilute the oils? And some people have read that they can be applied neat. So sure, there's always like an exception to every rule where there might
Mhm.
be a reason why you can apply neat. Off the top of my head, it's usually lavender if you've got a burn.
I was
Get
going to
that
say the
lavender
same
on there
thing.
right away. Do that. But generally, no, you want to dilute. You don't need to have high dilutions. You want low dilutions, so check out our dilution guides online. We have all of that free for you to download. You can
Mhm.
download, how to dilute safely, different percentages for your face, if you're doing a full massage, all of that. It's all available for you for children, for adults, for elderly, for teenagers. We have all of that there and available for you. We've also done podcasts on it as well. So we'll
Mhm.
we'll link that too in the notes so you can find those and you can listen to like that in more detail. But yes, you do need to dilute, especially hot oils, like there's
Even
especially
more
there's a
so,
lot
yeah.
there's lots of oils too where like there's a dermal max, and you want to make sure that you're not using it above that. So there's
And
just
I was going to say, and when you're applying the essential oils without a carrier oil, they evaporate very quickly. They're volatile
yeah,
compounds. They evaporate quickly. So actually mixing them with a carrier oil when you're applying them to your skin, it allows it to stay on your skin and be absorbed before they evaporate
yeah,
in that
which
way.
means you're not wasting them.
Yeah.
So they're not just going up into the air and, all that money that you spent on your essential oils is not just being wasted. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
And we
obviously you would still
don't,
smell it and get the aroma part of it,
yes.
but you're not getting the physical part necessarily the same way. So,
Yeah.
for
And we
sure.
want to make sure that you can use essential oils for years upon years because once you're sensitized to an oil, you're not necessarily only sensitized to that oil, but you have to then look at the chemical constituents and look like if it's something that is high in linalool, we'll say, any other oil that is high in that, you could also then react to. And you don't want to start breaking out into a rash every time you use essential oils because you've sensitized yourself to it. That's what we want to
Exactly.
avoid is so that you can use essential oils for years and years and years to come, but to do that, you can't be sensitized. So use them cautiously, use them appropriately, I should say,
Yeah.
and dilute your oils to what is safe. That 2 to 3% is absolutely a great spot.
Yeah.
And like Rachel said, feel free to go to our website and download our free dilution guides. They're there
Yeah,
free for
dilution
you to
guides. We
have.
also have some free safety labels that will give you
Hmm.
more information. If you want to get more oils for the safety labels, you can buy those as well for a very small fee. I think it's $25 Canadian
Hmm.
for like 77 of them or something like that. So,
Yeah.
it's a very small fee for that. But yeah, just check them out and definitely be using them. People are downloading those regularly too. So, use them. You can cut out those little dilution guides and stick them in with your oils. Like I have a box and I just have it inside of there so I don't have to think too hard when I just grabbing
Hmm.
my oils. And it's usually late at night and I just want to just get it done.
Yeah, and like you said, certain oils have max dilutions. So the safety labels are great for that. The thinking like bergamot, right? It has a 0.4% dilution. So you don't want to go above that. And that makes me think of the third top question that we often get. It's about photosensitivity and phototoxicity. And so the question we often get are why are some oils not okay to use in the sun?
Yeah.
And it's because the furocoumarins. which react to UV rays. So if you're going above that dilution percent, then your skin pigmentation can change.
Yes, exactly. So you want to make sure that you're not applying things neat or too strong, or sometimes you don't want to use the oils at all in those summer months. So depending on where you live, unfortunately, that might mean things you don't actually want to use, at least topically. Obviously, you
Hmm.
could still use them aromatically and
Hmm.
enjoy them that way. A lot of them are citrus oils, so keeping that in mind. We do have a list of oils that we post on our social media, and we also have a episode about it too, so you could listen to that as well to learn more. But definitely important that you're keeping this in mind, especially going into, like, currently in Canada, we're going into the summer months, spring and summer, and the sun is out. So keep that in mind as you're going forward, because things you used all winter might not be the best choice right now. And if you start noticing you've got little brown spots on your neck or your face or whatever, that could be why.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And like you said, a lot of citrus oils, but it's not just citrus oils because
no,
angelica root is one that does have that photosensitizing aspect, but sweet orange is not.
exactly.
So it's if you're in doubt, look for our list. As Rachel said, we've shared it on social media. We'll be sharing it on social media again this summer.
Yeah.
So check it out and just be cautious with that. If you stay under the maximum dilution, you can apply it topically and you won't get that UV that reaction with the UV
Toxicity. Yeah,
rays. Yeah.
exactly.
But it's when you go above it, which is why we always say to stay below it though, then you do have to be cautious. And I still remember we were at a conference with Mark Webb,
I was
who
thinking about that too.
we've had on our a mini course, and we cut part of that out to have it on the podcast. And where he shared a story about his student, and he's in Australia, so it's hot. It's very sunny, it's very hot, and she would go to the course every day, and she loved bergamot, and he had shared that she applied it down her neck, and all of a sudden they were seeing like these big streaks of discoloration on her neck, and
Yeah,
they figured out she was applying bergamot neat as perfume, which did leave these massive discolorations. And I believe he said it took a couple of months for them to go away, or if not longer, for
yeah.
the marks to go away after she stopped using the oil.
Because I think bergamot is also like the most photosensitizing oil.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's one like
Yes.
you have to be like the most careful with as far as using it, and how far between like applying it topically and then going into sun you want. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
So yeah, if you
keep
worry,
that in
just use
mind.
it aromatically, right? Personal inhalers, diffusers, they're great. Just use them aromatically
There is a version for some of them that you can get where they've taken that
if your
out.
coumarins out. Yeah,
Yes,
thank you. I totally didn't even think of that. Yeah, usually you can see like bergamot FCF. And so that means
removed it.
FC is for the fluorocoumarins, and then the last F is free.
Yeah.
So fluorocoumarin free, which means that they've taken out that chemical constituent so that you can use it without that maximum dilution. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for
So
thinking
yeah,
of
so if
that.
it's it's one of those oils that you just need to use, like, because some of those oils are like those happy oils, as I talk
Yeah.
about them, as far as like emotions, that you can definitely find a way to use most of them safely still.
Hmm.
So yeah.
And I think one last thing before we chime off for our 100th episode is a sneak peek into a few things we have coming up this year.
So
Uh,
what have you been working so hard on, Nikki, for
Yeah,
everybody?
so we are developing a 200-hour course. So right now we have our 50-hour course, which is recognized as a level one with NAHA. And then we have our clinical aromatherapy certification course, which is recognized with the CFA and as a level three course with NAHA. And we are currently working on a 200-hour course, which would be recognized as the level two course with NAHA. And I know the CFA has been working really, really hard also on trying to get a 200-hour or a level two type course,
Yeah.
intro course. I'm not sure what they're naming, anything like that, but I know they've been contemplating that for a while. So hopefully that comes in soon with the CFA also. But yeah, this 200-hour course is going to be and this doesn't include the A and P. And I think this is what's going to be really, really great is if you already have A and P. then you can take this course and you don't have to take another A&P, because we get that so often of, I'm a massage therapist, I'm a chiropractor, I'm an osteopath, I'm a nurse.
Mhm.
Do I need to take A&P again because I don't like A&P? I've taken A&P 3, 4 times. I've done A&P numerous times. Do I need to take another anatomy and physiology course? And our unfortunate answer is always yes, you do. So this would be a course that you could take and you would not need to redo that A&P. Now you wouldn't be qualified as a clinical aromatherapist. It would be, a step below,
Yeah.
but you do still have, like, it's still 200 hours of materia aromatica, which is a great amount of hours.
Yeah, so it's definitely something you could feel confident in using, and it would complement, I think, a lot of people going forward as far as if they already have accredit those credits, like
Accreditations.
accreditation. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so if there are massage therapists and stuff, I think it would complement it very nicely.
Hmm.
But I do
Like if
think our
you,
clinical aromatherapy course is still what people should be probably aiming for in most cases, especially if you
Mhm.
do want to become an aromatherapist specifically and
Yes.
tie it to non non holistic methods that don't already have that strong A&P. So yeah,
Hmm.
just things to
Yeah,
keep that in
like if
mind.
you already have, like, I know my massage therapist, she has usually just a few essential oils that she'll choose from. So, if you have
Yeah,
that 10, 15 oils, that and you don't branch out from there, you're not formulating on the spot for clients. You aren't
of
formulating
course.
products to make. You aren't, doing full health histories just related to aromatherapy, but you're just adding aromatherapy to your already existing business clientele and just using those two handfuls of
And
oils.
want to feel really secure in
Yeah.
making sure that you're actually giving the right information to your clients and keeping yourself secure and safe,
Mhm.
both liability wise and obviously for your clients. So, yeah, that
Yeah,
would
I
be a
think
great
that's
fit.
where
So,
this course will be very handy. But like you were saying, if you really want to dive into the aromatherapy, you want to do consultations, you want to start blending, you really want to do that extra deep dive, our clinical course will be what will be most important, right? It's 400 and 75 hours is what our
yeah,
course is. And so, that is a big and that does include A&P, but that is a big difference in
for
study
sure.
hours.
Yeah.
And if you start at the 200 and want to bump up to our clinical, you can also do that once we launch our 200. So that has
Yes,
been
exactly.
our big baby for 2025. We don't have a release date yet, but it is coming. And especially now that we have put it out there, it is
I
coming that much
expect it'll
more.
probably release sometime in the summer,
Yeah.
is my goal. That's my
Yeah.
guess.
That's our goal,
Yeah,
summertime.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
if you want to learn more about it, feel free to
yeah,
email us and we can add you to a wait list too,
of
for
course.
when that is available.
For sure. Yeah. So 100 episodes and 6 years of Essentria. So here we are. This is great,
Yeah.
Nikki. I appreciate
Awesome. Well,
everything
I
you do for
think
this course.
and I thank you. You do all the back end, like you've said. I don't do technology, and I am very, very clear on this. I do not do technology. Technology and I do not get along. And I always think it's funny when we do those personality tests because, and I absolutely love those personality tests because I get to learn more
Me
about
too. I
myself.
love this.
And it does always come back that technology and I do not get along. And it is very true to me. Mercury retrograde is always happening, always, because it just doesn't mesh with me, which I'm okay with. I have come to accept it. I have embraced it, and this is where I bow down to Rachel when I'm like, "Can you update this? Can you do this? Can you do that?" Which is
Yeah.
why I do more of the front end stuff and she does more of the back end stuff because that is
Yeah.
her area of expertise that I am so grateful for.
Yeah. So people, if you're looking to find a business partner, find someone that has slightly different
Hmm.
expertise than you, and it can be a great partnership.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great spot to wrap up our 100th episode, 6-year anniversary. So thank
Yes.
you again to all of our listeners.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you and have an amazing day. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of
Bye.
Vetiver Vibes. Bye.
Thank you for spending your time with us here at Vetiver Vibes. This episode was brought to you by Essentria, a leading online aromatherapy school. Don't forget to check out some of our free resources at www.schoolofessentria.com.
If you love this episode or you got a lot of value out of it, please make sure you share it with someone in your community who you think would enjoy it too. If you haven't already subscribed or reviewed the show yet, you can go on over to your preferred streaming platform and hit subscribe, then leave a review. This is the best way to help support us, and we appreciate it. Email us with a screenshot of your review, and we will send you a free guided meditation as our way to say thank you.
This podcast is for information purposes only. We are certified clinical aromatherapists and holistic health professionals. If you have a medication concern, please refer to your health team. Everyone's health is unique to themselves, so the topics and suggestions stated may or may not apply directly to you.